trolley car, to the factory. In the factory, the boss told her, said, you don't have to wear it. So, but actually, it was a very strong law. You could get shot for not wearing your star. They took it very seriously. And but she didn't want to do it. She didn't feel like being exposed to degradation. The yellow star is not a yarmulke. It's not something you wear with a sign of pride. The yellow star was invented to make you feel like nothing. And so she had it in her pocket, and when she gets on the train, and when she gets close to the Jewish neighbor, when she gets off the bus or the trolley car, and she'd walk over to the Jewish neighbor, then you put it on. She gets on the train, and all this will be on the internet, and because Yosef's putting it all up there. There's a long, very long interview she gave to Steven Spielberg people. If anybody wants to sit for 3 hours and listen to it. The point is, she gets on the train, and she's fumbling in her pocketbook or something like that, and it falls out on the floor in the middle of the train with all Slovaks. You could get killed. And, Vayafad Libam, the heart stops. Now, what do? And there's a colonel in the Slovak army sitting right next to it with the armband of what they call the Lenka Guard, which is the fascist organization. And the guy goes like this. He bends down, he picks it up, and he passes it over here. Didn't look her. Then he got up and got off the train. You see? It's like El Yonavi's story. And so the train becomes, once again, a place of encountering the other, and you discover who you are. He did. Okay? I don't know who it is, obviously. I know one thing. If the story would be different, I wouldn't be here. Yeah. But you can find the extremes of humanity, as well as, of course, the extremes of inhumanity. I don't have to tell you what the train serves as a metaphor in the Holocaust, and how the Jews are schlepped there in the train cars. We all know that. There are other stories as well. And so, in each case, the normal human emotions are intensified, and life becomes highly problematized, and people are under pressure in trains. And the real person comes out even if you don't plan it at the time you get on the train. The encounters force you into voyages of discovery that I don't doubt make you surprised at yourself. Like I said before, I have no idea who that guy was. If he survived it, some people remember, most people remember, was the leader of the Goddess Rabbanim in this country. He's the leader of the Orthodox Rabbi, let's put it that way. And he was a character and a half. If you want to know a little bit of it, you can read the biography. Believe me, he was 3 characters in one. But he was very famously in the war years, he was one of the leading people involved in the Vadat Solo, and he worked 24/7. And when the war was over, I don't know if you know this or not, but the DPs were rounded up by the American Army and put back in the concentration camp. I don't know if you know this. General Patton was very anti-Semitic, the most anti-Semitic general in American history. That's not an exaggeration. And it's ironic that General Patton was the one who crushed Hitler and liberated concentration camps. This is true. God has strange ways. But it's also true that when the war was over, he said that these Jews are vermin. I can't understand why Hitler did what he did. And the GIs put these guys back in the camps with the German guards that had been there before. I don't mean the guards who had controlled them, but in the same bunks and things of this nature. Because after all, Jews aren't entitled to any separate kind of treatment. Now the war's over, everybody treated equally, which is great. For 5 years he tried to kill me, and now, it's an interesting story. 2 GIs who were Jewish somehow they smuggled a letter out back to Brooklyn to the mother, and the mother called the congressman, and the congressman called Truman. This really happened. And Truman, who just became president at that time, he says, "I can't believe this." If you look, those of my age will remember that President Truman, long after he left office in the 60s, used to have a TV show on Sunday. It was paid for by the labor unions. We talked about administration. He said there, "I saw those pictures, I'll never be the same again." So he appointed the head of the University of Pennsylvania Law School, very prestigious guy, Earl Harrison. He says, "I want to find out if this is true. You go over there and come back and give me a report." This all happened in June of 1945. For April and May, the Jews were suffering. And Earl Harrison did give a report. He came back, and his famous line was, he says, "We're treating them exactly the way the Nazis are, except that we're not killing them." And Truman immediately called Eisenhower. He says, "What the heck is going over here?" And Eisenhower says, "I have no idea, And he immediately gave orders to change, and that's how it changed. You see? So these 2 guys and this Jewish lady in the Bronx or whatever it was, wrote to the congressman, changed it around. Now,